Welcome to this explainer where we're going to break down everything you need to know about aerobic endurance training to help you absolutely smash your exams. So let's kick things off with a question that trips up so many students. But trust me, by the end of this, you'll know the answer inside and out. No problem at all.
We've broken this down into 5 key areas. We'll start with the why behind aerobic training, then jump into the 3 crucial methods you need to know. After that, we'll talk about finding your ideal training zone, how to actually design a program, and we'll finish up with a super important tip that could save you a ton of marks in an exam.
All right, let's dive straight into section 1. To really get the training methods, we first need to understand the fundamental goal of aerobic training. Basically, why are we even doing this?
At its heart, it's all about making your body's engine way more efficient. The whole point is to help you perform for longer by getting more oxygen to your muscles and getting all the waste products out of there faster. That is the secret to fighting off fatigue and really boosting your endurance.
And this is the system we're working on. Your heart, your lungs, your blood vessels, the whole shebang. When you train consistently, this entire system is forced to adapt and get a whole lot stronger.
This means your heart can actually pump more blood with every single beat. That's a total game changer for endurance. A stronger pump means your heart doesn't have to work as hard, which is why people who are really fit often have a much lower resting heart rate. And check this out, here's another key adaptation. With training, you grow more of these tiny little blood vessels, these capillaries, all around the air sacs in your lungs. A bigger surface area means you get much more efficient gas exchange, which basically just supercharges your body's oxygen supply. Okay, so now we know why we train aerobically. Let's get into the what, the 3 essential training methods you are definitely going to be tested on. For your exam, these are the 3 you absolutely 100% must know. So let's break down what each one actually is. First up, continuous training. Just think of your classic long, steady run, or a swim, or a cycle. The key words to remember here are steady pace and no rest. It's fantastic for building a solid endurance base, but let's be real, it can get a little bit boring sometimes. Next is Fartlek. It's actually a Swedish word that means speed play, and it's a perfect name for it. It's still continuous, so you don't stop, but the pace is all over the place. You might sprint to that next lamppost, jog to the tree after that, then go hard up a hill. It's unstructured, it's fun, and it really mimics the changing pace you see in sports like football or hockey.
And finally, we have interval training. Now, this method is all about structure. It's periods of really hard work followed by a very deliberate rest period. So you might go all out for, say, 1 minute, then you have a specific time to recover. This lets you work at a much higher intensity than you ever could if you were just going continuously.
So, how on earth do you know if you're training at the right intensity? Not too easy, not too hard. It's all about finding that perfect sweet spot. The target for any aerobic training is to keep your heart rate somewhere between 60 and 85% of its maximum. And how do you figure out your max? It's a simple little formula. Just take 220 and subtract your age. So for a 20-year-old, the target zone is going to be between 120 and 170 beats per minute. Now, what if you don't have a fancy watch or a heart rate monitor? No worries at all. This is where something called the Borg scale comes in. It's a really simple way to gauge your intensity just based on how you're feeling. It runs from 6, which is like no effort at all the way up to 20, which is maximum flat-out effort.
And here's the really clever bit. Whatever number you think you're at, just multiply it by 10, and that gives you a rough idea of your heart rate. So if you feel like you're at a 13, somewhat hard, your heart rate is probably hovering around 130. For aerobic training, you want to be somewhere between a 12 and a 16. It's surprisingly accurate.
Of course, these days, technology can give you super precise, real-time data to make sure you're in that zone. You just glance at your wrist and you know exactly where you are, which is perfect for those really structured interval sessions. Okay, so we know the methods, we know how to measure the intensity, but how do we put all this stuff together? Well, there's a really simple principle called FIT, and it's the key to designing an effective program.
Just remember the acronym FIT. F is for frequency, which is how often you train. I is for intensity, how hard you train, which we just covered. The first T is for time, so how long you train for. And the last T is for type, meaning what kind of exercise you're actually doing. A really good program has a nice balance of all 4.
All right, on to our final section, and I'm not kidding, this is probably the most important tip for your exam, so you'll want to pay close attention. This is it. This is the #1 spot where students lose marks, but honestly, it's so easy to get right once you properly understand the core difference between them.
The key difference, the thing that separates them, is the rest. Fartlek is continuous play, without stopping. You just vary the intensity. Interval training, on the other hand, is built around specific, defined breaks or recovery periods. That's what separates the high-intensity work.
Look, if you remember one thing today, please let it be this simple distinction. Fartlek has no planned rest. Interval training is defined by its rest periods. If you get that right, you have absolutely nailed it.
And that's our complete breakdown of aerobic endurance training. So now you should think about how you could apply these principles to your own performance. Are you looking to build a solid base, or maybe mimic the intensity of a game, or push your absolute peak performance? The choice of method is all yours.